Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to Super Fun Sunday. I'm actually filming this on Super Fun Saturday because the light in my office at this time of year is too bright in the morning to do videos, and I'd prefer to get this up in the morning. So anyway, Todd McFarlane mania is running loose through the interwebs. Spawn 300, it's coming. Oh my God. No, I love Todd. I love his work. And I've peeked into this book before, but we've never really gotten to the end of it. So what I thought I would do is I'm going to actually start in the middle and kind of work my way backwards. But it's a double kind of reason why I'm doing it. Is, again, obviously Spawn 300 is coming up. And you know, Todd is a very, very important and influential comic book artist. And also, I mean, the guy was a rebel. He stood up for what he believed in. Made a really, really bold move, leaving Marvel Comics and forming Image, and the guy's got balls. So let's celebrate his balls. He likes to think that he makes everything sexy. I'd argue that he makes everything look cool. I'm not 100% sure sexy would be the word that I would use to describe his work, but he believes that. So we'll believe in his belief that the work is sexy. It's fun. So let's see. Well, let's just start here. We're gonna go like right here. All right. So, like I said, we've looked at some of this book before, but I think this is as good a place as any to start. So this is towards the end of his run on Spider-Man, which was his own book that he was actually writing and drawing himself. And man, okay, talk about. I do some drawing like. I'm doing a drawing series right now on my Patreon, and this is a great example of a lot of different head types. And, you know, you learn your structure so that you can do stuff like this. I mean, you could definitely just wing it and do stuff like this. But as Todd talks about in the beginning of this book, he was rejected somewhere between like 530 and I think 600 times. And throughout that process, I think that Todd had to really do a lot of soul searching and try a lot of different things that probably were incredibly uncomfortable for him based on how he ultimately drew. But, you know, if an editor tells you that your anatomy sucks and you want to work for that person, then you're going to need to fine tune it, regardless of how you're ultimately going to draw. You know, if you're trying to appeal to someone's sense of aesthetics and their rule book, well, then, you know, you're going to have to learn stuff. And so Todd went through that process over a period of probably a few years and, came out the other end, an incredibly versatile artist who chose to draw in a very stylish and probably in some ways unconventional way, although the foundation is all there. I mean, you can clearly see it. The guy knows what he's doing. When he's on his game, even now, he still has a knockout punch. So what he learned stuck with him. And he innovated a lot of things, you know? We all know that. The spaghetti webbing, the big eyes. He brought sexy to comics. He says so. Venom. Look at Venom. He doesn't look so mean back then. Venom is more intense now. This is like, he looks a little like a duck. Or something. I don't know. He's not really that scary. I've always liked the Venom character. I actually like him less now than I probably did. I wasn't around when Todd was working on Spider-Man, to be clear. I got into his stuff when he was doing Spawn. But I went back and picked up the back issues of all this stuff. And I never regretted it. They're fun. I've never read them. Full disclosure. But the art's cool, and that's all that matters to me. And, I mean, sometimes it's interesting. So, like, the last few pages we've seen, he actually has been drawing his buildings. But sometimes Todd would use photo stats of backgrounds. You know, I don't know what ultimately, this is promotional art, but I've definitely seen pieces like this where he just basically drops like a photo of like New York City in the background. And, I'm not a big fan of that approach to things, but for whatever reason with Todd, it worked. Some people can do stuff like that and it just it's not as annoying because it's like, I don't know, it's just weird. It's like you kind of know the reasoning behind it. And it's not that he couldn't draw it. It's just like, it was just a call that he made. So things that are strong in Todd's work is he's really got a great sense of three-dimensionality to his stuff. And generally that's because he's not afraid to put form in front of other form. If you look, like, this hand is in front of the face, and this forearm is in front of the biceps, and it's like he moves stuff back into space, and he overlaps things. And it's a really, really powerful tool, and it immediately, when done well, will really create like a nice sense of three-dimensionality to things. This is like even this little tiny figure. The arm is coming forward, the other one's going back into space. As Todd said himself in his Stan Lee video, he could draw Thor standing on a hilltop, picking his nose, and still make it look cool. And, that's in some ways accurate. Todd at his best could do that. He should do that. Maybe he did in the video, I can't remember. But, he'll twist and turn Spider-Man's anatomy into really, really unorthodox and extremely just like, anatomy defying poses, but it looks cool and it works. And that's all that matters. He's great with texture. I love the way that he draws smoke. I love the way that he does rocks. He renders just gritty stuff, bricks and trash and stuff like that. Always looks cool. Occasionally, if you look at some of this stuff actually is shot from the originals, you can see there's a slight variation in the color of the ink right there, because it looks like it's marker for those few spots. I see a little blue pencil in there. He used a lot of, well, I'm not gonna say he used a lot of different tools, but he used different tools. This is this is a really, really tricky thing to draw and pull it off. I mean, that is a wild pose. It's really, really wild. He's got a very, very good eye for a level of comfort that no matter if it's right or wrong, he sells it with a level of confidence, and his eye is good. He's dialed in. He knows about the size relationships and kind of what you'd see and what you might not see. And skeleton be damned, it's gonna go there. And it looks great. It looks really, really cool. This is a neat piece. I almost wish it was in black and white. And this is something that I actually don't really remember seeing on a comic book. I guess it's Marvel Tales. Oh, wait, no. Is it? Am I tripping? No, it's a different pose. So this is Marvel Tales, Spider-Man, X-Men. It's a cool piece. Let's see if it's in black and white here. No. This is nice too. His Wolverine's actually pretty cool. There was the Wolverine Wendigo issue. I think that was in his Spider-Man run. Going on memory right now, but that was cool. Draws wild hair. It's just a lot of charm and kind of personality in his stuff. This is cool. But, is that a classic looking superhero? No. I mean, I hate to say it, but if someone showed me samples of their work and they were drawing faces like this, right now, I probably would be it depends on how consistent they were with it. But I mean, this is an unusual hero face. It's just one of those things. But again, Todd had trouble too. I mean, he had to really fight for a lot of these sort of things in his work. And you draw it good enough, and then they just believe in it. It's the difference. This is cool. And, Todd spawned a couple of really interesting sort of, artists out of his work. One is Stephen Platt, when he was doing Moon Knight, and some of his early stuff, at Extreme Studios, had a real nice McFarlane feeling to it, and it looked great. It was exciting to see someone doing Todd and taking that look and having it sort of move forward. And then, of course, Greg Capullo did it as well. And, when Greg first was filling in on Spawn, his stuff was a lot more stiff. It didn't feel like Todd. It didn't have the cool factor of Todd. The sexy. But he figured it out, and he got damn good. At times, I actually thought that he kind of did Todd better than Todd. I mean, it's not a diss to Todd, but Capullo is just a really, really strong draftsman. So it's like when he understood how to make his stuff looser and kind of more sort of balls to the wall, he was able to kind of do both. But yeah, I would love to see Todd come back and actually draw like 12 issues of Spawn. That would be really, really kind of fun. I think that would be a neat thing to see. I'd love to see Capullo go back on Spawn, honestly. I think that they really make it exciting and cool. It's a pretty cool ship. It's like, this is nice. Man, that's really cool. So this is Liefeld and Todd. Yeah, that face is it's like pretty neat. That's a nice shot. And let's see here. So this is another Liefeld. Oh yeah, he actually didn't he just post this online? I think he just recently posted this and had a little thing that it was like he goes people think all I do is scary stuff, but I can do cute too. And I gotta be honest, this looks a little scary. It's like scary cute. Like I'm feeling this thing's gonna rip apart and there's gonna be like the thing inside of it. I'm not trusting this kitten. Those black eyes. I didn't even notice when he posted it online, the little, I don't know what is it, like a mongoose or a ferret or something, like chilling next to him. But it's cute. Cuter than this. But again, this is what I'm kind of talking about with like his faces. Like some of his faces are pretty wild. You know, it's not an aesthetic that everyone would immediately gravitate to, but he does everything else so damn good. You just don't care, because like when you can do cool stuff like this, his Ghost Rider's pretty cool. You know, even I'm trying to think. There was some other artists in the 90s that kind of do like this. I always thought that this was really solid of him. I remember getting the back issue of this. I think this is the last issue of Spider-Man. This is 16. Yeah, this is 16. The level of detail that he put on this was actually quite cool. Like it was a little more like he was able to walk the line between like superhero and kind of the more bizarre stuff. Okay, so Spawn. That's great. Man, he like when he does this graphic stuff, he's so good at it. It's like he brought in, I mean, I don't know. It would be easy to just say Frank Miller, but I think it's more complex than that. But anyway, here, let's move through this stuff quick and get to the actual. But yeah, there's some really, really good high contrast stuff that he does in Spawn. That's a funny pose. It's actually like, so this is from '92. He's like dancing Spawn. Oh, how funny. So it was a Wizard number 11 cover. I don't remember that. This is nice. Great pose. Man, that is awesome. But again, the three-dimensionality that he puts in his stuff, like it really pops. And, he turns stuff at interesting angles and, like, overlaps things, and all that stuff just adds to the cool factor. But again, this is quite graphic. If you really look at it, there's very, very little gray, meaning like line work, and it's like you've got a really strong black and white image, with actually surprisingly little amount of rendering, feathering, hatching, and whatnot. And this too, it's pretty straightforward, but it's really dynamic. I mean, you've got this arm just kind of coming out from inside the cape, but it's over, like the wrist and the hand is overlapping the forearm, but you can't even really see the upper arm. This other arm is coming out, and so like, yeah, it's kind of going back into space like a little bit, like back into the piece, and these nice overlapping things, and then that bubbly smoke that he does so well. It curls and twists and overlaps, and again, cool angles of the chain and a nice dynamic down shot of the head. this is, well, not this literal piece, but one of the very, very first comic book drawings that I did is I drew a recreation of this double page spread. And I penciled, inked, and colored it in markers. It's just, I just saw it. It looked cool. It was in the comic book, looking like this, and I wanted to draw it. I just wanted to see if I could sit and sort of do something that big. I did it on a huge sheet of paper. I actually have it in my office somewhere, and yeah, I was kind of off and running. I did that, and I think, was it? I don't know. I think that was it, and then I just kind of actually started to try to work on original stuff. But I didn't really know I was going to draw comics at the time. It was just, it inspired me to want to draw. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just saw it and went like, oh, that's fucking cool, man. I want to try to draw that. I didn't really have a motive. Was funny as me getting into comics, I was actually forcing myself to get a hobby away from music, because I had just completely obsessed for music for like a decade, and I didn't want to burn myself out on it, and I knew that that was the risk that I ran, just being obsessed with music 24/7. And so I was like, I was playing video games a little bit just to sort of like have something to wind down and like kind of change like the gears of my brain. And then a friend of mine that worked at a video game comic book store got me into the comics. I'm glad he did. I mean, Todd McFarlane Spawn is what got me into it. There's no two ways about it. If he would have showed me another book, there's a very, very good chance that I would have never, ever got into comics. So I'll always be grateful to not only him, but McFarlane. So thank you, Toddster. Oh, yeah, this is the inside gatefold of the Vault edition of Spawn, which actually the second collection of the Spawn kind of artist edition, Vault edition, the shot from the originals thing, is coming out really soon. Actually, in probably the next like 4 weeks, and I'm definitely going to get it. So we'll do a video on that. I'll wait a little bit just to be respectful to the publisher. I don't want to go through the whole thing, but we'll definitely give it a little peek and get the word out that it's out there, because these videos actually do help sell books. I've just had more and more feedback of people picking up this stuff because of seeing these videos, and I do it too. I mean, I go on YouTube if I hear about a book and check out video. This is a nice piece too. This is Spawn number 8. What's funny, I remember buying this comic book from a spinner rack at a truck stop in like the middle of, I don't even know, somewhere between like Amarillo and Austin, when my band was on tour, and I got Spawn 7, and this is pretty sure it's 8. Yeah, issue 8. But yeah, I have the newsstand. But I would read comic books in the back of the the tour bus as we were driving from point A to point Z many times. This is cool. I kind of almost don't remember this piece. This is from 9. Yeah, I actually do. 9 is a great issue. I'm actually really, really hoping that it's in this new collection, because I know that there was some legal issues with this character and like a lawsuit and all that, but the Angela issue is actually quite great, and so is this superhero one. Really clever idea. I love this, and maybe like if people have a more historical slant of comic books, this may have been alluded to in some other book at some other time, but all the heroes' hands, especially in color, when you saw it, you're just like, oh man, it's like the Hulk and Batman and all these characters sort of imprisoned, and look, it's the stuff, a lot of the sort of back and forth that we have now is really, it's just a retelling of the Image revolution. So, every decade or so, comics goes through sort of like a purge. And that's just the way it is, yo. This is a great shot. Oh my god. What a cool drawing. I remember this from the book. I have no idea what issue this is from, but man, it's such a kick-ass down shot. He loses the perspective a little bit on this. It's actually, if you look, it's a little tiny bit off right there. But it still looks cool. I don't know if maybe that's supposed to be curving back into space, but yeah, it feels it's a little off, but whatever. That's cool. Okay, so I'm going to start wrapping this up because at 21 minutes my camera will shut off. And yeah, I'll be back next weekend for a super fun Sunday, and I think that's what I'm going to do right now for YouTube. Is I'm just going to stick in that lane for a little bit. I'm really busy, and if you want more videos, then definitely check out Patreon, because I'm doing about 5 a week there. So there's plenty of videos going on. I just don't have time to do both. So. Boja. Oh, this is cool. So this looks, I was going to say, this is him inking Capullo, which actually was a very, very cool blend. But I think Capullo came on issues 14 and 15 of Spawn. And, yeah, it was okay. And then he came back later and did more. This is really nice. God damn. See, and this is where, like, he really ramped up the detail, or they did together. But, I mean, you can see the difference of those real graphic pieces that I showed you in this. I mean, this is like 2 totally different worlds. Once Danny Mickey got a hold of Spawn 2, he really, really ratcheted it up. And then I think, you know, Todd, it was like that laid the the template. Wow, this is really weird. So this looks... How funny is that? So this looks a lot like the 300 cover. Am I tripping or not? This looks a lot like it. So this is 1997. That's funny, because I've talked to a few people about the Spawn 300 cover, and you know, I was surprised that was the shot that he went with, because it seemed not very McFarlane-y to me. But maybe there's a reason for it that I didn't realize, because I was just picturing something, you know, more like this. Again, the overlapping shapes, the cape flying everywhere, and maybe it was a reference to that piece. And again, there might be some symbolism or reason for it, but... Alright, so we're going to end it there. So, Spawn 100, we're at 300 now. And I'll see you all at 400, probably. Not all of you. Not all of us are going to make it to 400. It's the sad thing about life. Just kidding. We're all going to be at 400, and we're all going to see each other here. It's going to be fine. Alright, talk to you later. Bye.